whispers beneath the soil. They told me not to go into Hollowgate Cemetery after midnight. The warnings came like passing comments, whispers from old men at the diner, mutterings from the lady at the gas station when I bought batteries for my flashlight. You stay away from Hollowgate after dark, they said. Things crawl out of the ground over there. You won't be the same if you hear them. But that was exactly the kind of story that pulled me in. I've always had this itch for the morbid, the unexplained, the kind of fear that squeezes your spine and makes your breath catch in your chest. And honestly, I didn't believe them. I mean, really, cursed graveyards, ghosts in the dirt. That's the stuff of late-night radio and cheap horror flicks. So naturally, I packed up my camera, a flashlight, and a half-dead phone. And I went. It was colder than I expected. The iron gate was half-rusted and bent from age, and I had to climb over a section where the bars had collapsed into the brush. The moment my feet hit the ground inside, I swear the air changed, thicker, heavier, like walking underwater. The flashlight's beam barely cut through the mist, and the silence was total, not just quiet, absent. No crickets, no owls, not even the distant hum of cars from the highway. Just my breathing, just the crunch of gravel underfoot. I moved between headstones, old ones that leaned like drunkards and newer ones still wet from rain. I filmed some of them, talked into the camera like I was doing a vlog, said things like, "This is Hollowgate Cemetery, site of the infamous caretaker murders of 1979. Even though I barely believed the stories. The caretaker who went mad and dug up corpses. That was just local lore, right? But then I heard it. A voice, whisper thin. "Help me." I froze. My heart did this stuttery kick in my chest. I spun in a circle with my flashlight, but no one was there. Not a soul. I should have left. I know that now. But back then, I thought maybe it was someone messing with me, another thrill seeker, or a homeless guy. So I walked toward where I thought the sound came from, deep into the older part of the cemetery, where the trees grew close and the graves were so ancient their names had weathered away. That's when I saw it. A grave with freshly turned earth. No headstone, no flowers. Just a crude wooden stake marking the spot, and a date carved into it, May 7th, 2025. That was today. I stepped closer and the ground moved, just slightly, like something shifting beneath the soil. I told myself it was an animal, a rabbit maybe. But then a hand burst through the dirt. I staggered back, nearly dropping the flashlight. The hand was gray and shriveled, fingers curled, nails jagged and black. It groped blindly at the air, and then a second hand followed. And then the top of a head, a face, sunken eyes, gaping mouth, soil pouring from its nostrils. "Help me," it said, in that same breathless voice. I turned and ran. But I didn't get far before I heard more. Voices, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all rising up from the ground, all whispering at once. Some pleaded, some screamed, others just laughed. "Come back, stay with us, dig us up." The flashlight flickered, died. I kept running in the dark, tripping over graves and roots, scraping my palms and knees raw. I didn't care. I climbed the gate and fell hard onto the other side, gasping, filthy, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. I didn't look back. I don't even remember driving home. But I must have, because I woke up in my bed with dirt in my sheets and scratches on my arms. That was 3 nights ago. Since then, I've barely slept. I keep hearing them, the whispers. They follow me, in the pipes, behind the walls, under the floor. I tried turning up the TV, blasting music, but it doesn't help. The voices just get louder. I ripped up part of the floorboard last night, trying to prove to myself there was nothing there, but all I found was more dirt and fingernail marks. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if I brought something back, or if part of me never left that grave. But I do know one thing now. The stories were true. And if you ever find yourself near Hollowgate Cemetery, don't go inside after dark, because the dead are not resting. The grave that wasn't there yesterday. It started with a dare. They always do. We were sitting around a fire in the woods just outside of Black Hollow, a couple beers in, the cold creeping in through our jackets, and someone, probably Jordan, thought it'd be funny to bring up the cemetery. Black Hollow Cemetery, the one people say is older than the town itself, the one where no one goes after sunset. "You talk tough, Maddie," he said, "but you wouldn't last 10 minutes in there. Not alone. Not at night." He was right, I did talk tough. But what he didn't know was that I had no intention of backing down in front of the others. "Make it 15 minutes, I said, "and I'll do it without a flashlight." They cheered, laughed. Someone handed me my phone and told me to record the whole thing, like proof I went through with it. So I walked the half-mile in the dark, wind clawing at the trees, and stood before the rusted gates of Black Hollow Cemetery, with the air pressing against my chest like a weight. It looked normal enough, silent, empty, just rows of graves swallowed in fog. I stepped inside, pulling up the flashlight on my phone, even though it was already down to 17% battery. It wasn't much, but it was enough to light my path between crooked headstones and half-dead trees. There was no sound, no crickets, no leaves rustling, not even the distant hum of cars from the main road. It was like I'd stepped into a place outside of time. I kept filming. "Look at me, being brave," I muttered into the camera. My voice felt too loud, like it didn't belong in this place. Then I reached the back corner, past a crumbled stone angel and a mausoleum cracked wide open like a broken tooth. That's when I saw it. A new grave. The earth was fresh, too fresh, damp like it had just been dug. No headstone, no flowers, just a single wooden board jammed into the mound of soil. I moved closer, lifting the light. The sign said, "Rest in peace. Me." I blinked. Was it a prank? It had to be. The handwriting was jagged, hurried, almost like someone had written it while shaking. But underneath that phrase, carved into the wood, I saw a date. My birthday. Not just the month and day, the year. Everything. It was my grave. The light flickered. 8% battery left. Then something gave under my foot. I dropped hard onto my knee, landing against the mound. The soil collapsed slightly beneath my weight. It wasn't firm like a grave should be. It was soft, loose. And then I felt it. A hand, right under the dirt, ice cold. The fingers brushed against mine. I recoiled in horror. But before I could stand, my phone buzzed with a final flicker and died. I was swallowed in darkness. That's when I heard the whisper, right by my ear. "Why did you come back?" My stomach turned cold. My body froze. The voice didn't belong to anyone I knew. It was wet, slow, like it had drowned in mud. I couldn't tell if it came from the ground or the air or my own head. I got up and ran. I didn't care about the path, the branches clawing my face, the gravestones I crashed into on the way. I just knew I had to get out. By the time I made it back to the road, my friends were gone. No calls answered, no texts returned. I walked home in the dark, heart pounding like I'd left part of it back in that grave. The next morning, I went back. In the daylight, the cemetery looked normal, peaceful even. I brought my older brother with me. He thought I was being dramatic. But when we reached that corner behind the mausoleum, there was nothing. No fresh grave, no wooden marker, just untouched grass. I tried to laugh it off, told myself I imagined it. Maybe I slipped and hit my head. Maybe it was a nightmare wrapped in a dare. But that night I found dirt in my bed, under my nails, in the folds of my clothes, and worse, the next day I checked my camera roll. All the footage from the night before was gone, except for one 5-second clip, just long enough to show me standing in front of a grave, a hand reaching up behind me, and a voice whispering, "See you again soon." I've been dreaming of that grave ever since, except now, it's not always me in it. Sometimes it's someone I love, and sometimes when I pass mirrors or dark windows, I swear I see the grave behind me, closer every time. Graveyard shift. I took the night shift at Greystone Cemetery because I needed the money. Simple as that. It wasn't the kind of job you brag about, mostly just keeping an eye out for vandals, locking up the gates, and occasionally chasing off drunk teenagers trying to scare each other. It was boring, cold, and quiet. Too quiet. The groundskeeper before me, Earl, lasted only 2 weeks. He quit without even coming back for his final paycheck. When I asked why, he just muttered, "They talk to you if you listen long enough." I thought he meant the usual creepy stuff. You spend enough time in a place like that, you start hearing things. Turns out, he meant it literally. The first few nights were uneventful. I read books in the guard shack, drank bad coffee, took my hourly walks through the grave rows. Nothing happened. But on the 7th night, always the 7th, right? Something changed. It started with a sound. I was walking near the far side of the cemetery, where the graves are older and the stones are crumbling. I heard what I thought was soft humming, faint, tuneless. I stopped walking, but the sound kept going. Then it stopped just as suddenly. I should have gone back to the shack, but I didn't. Instead, I followed the sound to a sunken grave near the edge of the woods. The headstone was cracked clean through the middle. No name, just the year, 1831. The ground looked wrong, fresh, like something had just been buried, or maybe worse, like something had come out. I stood there a moment, staring at it. That's when I saw it. Not a shadow, not a shape, a person, standing between 2 trees, watching me. I lifted my flashlight, but the beam hit nothing. No one was there. I told myself it was my eyes playing tricks. You see shapes in the dark all the time, right? But as I turned to leave, I felt something grab my ankle. Not hard, not forceful, just fingers. Cold, dry fingers curling around my boot from under the ground. I screamed. I fell backwards, and when I scrambled away and shone the light on the spot, there was nothing. No hand, no disturbed soil, just the grave, quiet, like it had always been. I didn't sleep the next day, couldn't. I told my boss I wanted to switch to the day shift. He just laughed and said, "They all ask that after the first week." The next night I showed up anyway. Stupid, I know. This time the whispers started at midnight exactly. Not voices I could understand, just murmuring, like dozens of people having different conversations 6 feet below me. And the worst part, they were getting louder. I ran back to the shack and locked the door. That's when the knocking started, on the windows, on the walls, from the ground beneath the shack. That was 2 nights ago. Now I'm sitting here writing this because I don't think I'm going to make it through tonight. I can already hear them calling my name, not just whispering anymore, saying it clearly, over and over. I think they want me to join them, and the grave that grabbed me, it has a new headstone now. It has my name on,